So what could be better than fresh tomato sauce? Not much really. So I've already harvested about 30 of my aromas off of here, and I've got some cherry tomatoes over here, which I've also taken about 100 or so. But this is what we're going to use today for our fresh tomato sauce. Hi everybody, and welcome back to Kimbo's Comfort Kitchen. And it's that time of year. My Roma tomatoes are looking pretty good, so I decided to make fresh tomato sauce. Now there's a lot of different variations. I mean, I'm not Italian obviously, but I have taken a lot of ideas from different recipes and sort of, as usual, put them in together and made it my own. One of the things I do in this one is I do not take the seeds out. A lot of people will say, oh my god, you got to take the seeds out. Well, you don't. It actually adds more depth as far as I'm concerned. Some people say it makes it bitter. Not so much. I do take the skins off though, and I'm going to show you how to do that. A really easy way to do this. And I have a secret ingredient that a good friend of mine, Vince, or we call him Vinny, showed me as another addition to spaghetti sauce, which I had never seen before or tasted. And I got to tell you, this little secret ingredient is amazing, and it goes in almost right at the end. So stay tuned and let's make some sauce. Okay, so let's get this show on the road. This is a really simple sauce. Start with garlic. The garlic I get from California. I do not like using Chinese garlic. I don't like the taste of it, and I don't like the strength of it. And I don't really like buying anything from China. Sorry, China, that's true. And I got some sweet onions. I got salt, pepper. I got tomato paste. I got about 50 grams of Italian seasoning. I just buy the Italian seasoning from Costco. It works great, especially for this sauce. It's awesome. Fresh basil. And the secret ingredient is tarragon. That's right, tarragon. I wouldn't have believed it, but that is what makes it Vinny's pasta or tomato sauce. And of course, my Roma tomatoes from my garden. So let's get going. Okay, so the very first thing we're going to do is we are going to take these and put little cross cut in the top. Not very deep, just like that. Okay, and I'm going to do that to all of these. I got about 30 Romas here from the garden. And once I've done a cross hatch, I'm going to put them into boiling water for about 1 minute to 1.5 minutes. And this is just to take the skin off. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. If you want to leave the skin on, you can. It's just I like it for the consistency. And I am not taking the seeds out. A lot of people say, oh, well, you know, if you don't take the seeds out, that becomes bitter. But the scientific fact is that it does not. So that's what we're going to do. So the next shot I'm going to show you is plunging the tomatoes. Okay, so I've got the water almost to a boil. And I'm going to take this over here and show you. Right next to it, I've just got some ice cold water. I didn't put ice cubes into it. It's not really necessary. I'm just using cold water. And the idea is that we want to take the skin off. So by putting these in hot water for about a minute and a half, it'll loosen it up just enough that it makes it easy to peel. That's really what the whole exercise is all about. So as soon as these have been in for about a minute or so, I usually just look at them, and when I start to see that crosshatch there, when I start to see it peel back a bit, then I know it's ready. That's usually the easiest way. Great, be right back. Okay, so it's been about a minute. You can start to see where it's automatically splitting there, and you see how it's starting to come off. I'm going to leave this a little bit longer, but you're getting the idea of what it should look like. You see the skin peeling back. And these are so fresh. Yeah, see, that's what's going to happen. But I'm going to leave it in for another 30 seconds or so, and then I'm going to plunge them into the cold water. Okay, so now you can see what this looks like. And this is how easy it is. It comes off like this. And once I've peeled them all, I'm then going to just dice them. Quickly like this. And are all diced, I'm going to put them in a big pot. So that's it. So that's basically the peeling process. Okay, so I've cleaned up the mess. It looks like there was a small massacre by the time I finished peeling all the tomatoes. But that's the price you pay. You don't, like I said, you don't have to take the peels off, but it makes for a more consistent sauce later. So now I've got this on medium heat while I start to do a few other things. So I'm going to cover this and just forget about it for the next 30 minutes on medium. All right, so while I've got the tomatoes going, I'm now going to saute the onions. I didn't actually use 2 onions. I used an onion and a half, by the way, from what you saw from the beginning. And the reason that I use onions like this is they're going to provide the sugar. And it can be a rough chop, it doesn't have to be exact. But I am actually not, I'm not going to caramelize them, but I'm going to take them past the sweating stage as well. But I'll get back to you and show you exactly what that looks like. Okay, so the onions are more than just sweated right now, but I don't want them to caramelize as I mentioned before. And here comes the fun part. I'm going to take the Italian seasoning. As I said, I got about 50 grams of it. I'm going to use about 3/4 of it right now. And I'm going to season it, the onions, with that and the pepper and the salt. Don't pour this straight into your sauce. If you do, you're going to lose half the flavor. So the idea is to mix this and let all the seasonings actually heat in the pan along with the onions. And believe me, it makes a big difference. And I've also taken the garlic and I fine chopped it almost to a brunoise. Well, it is a brunoise. And I'm going to put that in. Now garlic, as you know, and if you don't, you should, is it burns easily. And as far as I'm concerned, there's never too much garlic. So those are the entire 2 cloves. For those of you that don't like garlic, then don't use as much. But for me, I might even add more, who knows. But right now, this is what I want to get this mixture going, which I'm going to add to the tomatoes. Now they've only been on for about 10 minutes. And that's perfect because I'm going to add this stuff to it. And then I'll do a flavor check later to see if there's enough salt, or if it needs more pepper, or if it needs more Italian seasoning. But this is their first stage for seasoning the sauce. Okay, so I'm going to add all of this to the tomatoes. Just hold on while I switch places here in my fancy kitchen. And I move this over. And this is all going in. So this isn't exactly a marinara, but we never said it was in the first place. But I'll guarantee you it's going to be extremely flavorful. So let's, and if you're vegetarian, which I'm not, but I do love vegetarian dishes, obviously, this is a great dish to have. So now I'm using tomato paste. I love the concentrate. I'm going to use about 3/4 of this can. Or actually 75%. Oh, screw it. You know what? I'm going to use all of it. You can't go wrong, really. If you know what, if it's too much and it gets too thick, all you do is just add water at the end of the day. So I'm going to turn the heat down on this to about half and mix this all in, and then I'm going to let this cover, and I'm going to let this finish for another, well, it's almost been 20 minutes since I got everything else done. And I'm going to put this on low for another half an hour, and then I will come back and we will start to do a flavor profile on it. Okay? See you a bit. Okay, so we are about an hour into a low simmer, and I just tasted this, and it's getting there. It's pretty good. It's not there yet, but it's pretty darn good even if I say so myself. So I'm going to cover this low heat again for another 30 minutes, and then we shall see. All right, so we have been over an hour now, well over an hour, and I'm going to use the immersion blender. And I'm going to do this thoroughly, and I'll get back to you. All right, so I did this for about, I don't know, a couple minutes, and you can see the consistency here. And this is why I like to take the skins off. I mean, this is a pretty nice consistency. Let's check the flavor profile. Okay, that's pretty darn good. I've got just the right amount of salt and pepper in there right now. And then we're going to finish this off. But I'm not going to add the herbs now. We will do that in the last 30 minutes of cooking. Because fresh herbs don't do well you have to use a lot more fresh herbs if you're going to do a slow cook with them over a long period of time versus dry herbs. So I'm going to add the fresh herbs in the last 30 minutes. And they'll still be robust and very flavorful, and they're the ones that are those are the basil and the tarragon are the two ingredients that are going to make this just pop. It's going to be amazing. Stay tuned. Okay, so here we are. It's now the final moment. I'm going to take basil from my garden, and I've just rough chopped it. And I've done the same with tarragon, which is not from my garden, but it is the secret ingredient. And I'm not going to put all of it in right now because I'm not totally used to using tarragon in my sauce. But I have to tell you, when you do it fresh like this, and it wilts into it, this is going to be, I'm going to let this simmer. It's going to be about half an hour. I might actually put a bit more tarragon because I really like this flavor in it. It's quite amazing. And as I mentioned earlier, we're using fresh herbs. So we will use this at the end of the recipe, not at the beginning. And we're going to let this simmer for 30 minutes. And once it's simmered, I'm going to do a taste test again, and we'll see what kind of profile we have. So here's the moment of truth. After we added the basil and we added the tarragon, let's try this out and see what kind of a profile we get on this. Oh my God. Or as I say, mein Gott. This is so delicious, even if I say so myself. This is basically the sauce. You don't have to do anything different to it. I'm going to show you in a second. I'm going to put it on a pasta dish so it makes it look pretty. But wow, try this out. It's not complicated. Super tasty. Don't go away. I'm going to plate this. All right, so let's plate. So I am using bucatini, which is like hollow spaghetti. I really like this because of the fact that it's, hollow spaghetti. It's got a great tooth feel to it. And then we're going to take the sauce. I got to tell you, this sauce is amazing. The tarragon makes it. It absolutely makes the difference. So here's a melange of Reggiano and Asiago and Parmesan, which I'm going to put on top. So this is completely vegetarian at this point. There we go. And that's it. It's an amazing sauce. I hope you try it out. It's a lot of fun. Pretty tasty too. Anyway, if you like what I'm doing, go check out my other recipes.